From at least grammar school and middle school, a very persistent personality. He would be focused when he had a goal, be it an athletic goal or a goal when he was studying music. He studied cello at Blair for many years. Or he always loved to sail. He loved to snow ski, but he always wanted to push and pursue to be good at whatever he tried. And due to visits to the Washington, D.C. Annapolis area, where we ultimately did a lot of sailing, we went there primarily because of visits and continuing education for my wife's specialty. He learned about the Naval Academy and midshipmen. This was in the 6th grade. And he asked, what are the guys walking around in the white uniforms? And we explained what it was. He ultimately then took a tour. And he said, Pop, I'm going to go there. This is where I'm going to go. This goes back to the 6th grade. And by the 9th grade, he actually asked to get an interview. And they said, well, son, you're a little bit young. Will you do that when you get in the 11th grade? And he said, well, could I try? So he went through the interview process, and then he went through again the next trip up there. But by the time he was in the 11th grade, he really knew that's where he wanted to go. So he sought the admission process information and the appointment process to go through that competitive process with the congressmen, senators, et cetera, and then ultimately got an appointment to the Naval Academy, and that's where he went.
So even from the age of 12 or so,
yes,
he knew that that was something that was interesting to him.
He wanted to go to the Naval Academy, and he wanted to fly Navy. He had stickers on his school books, fly Navy.
What do you think attracted him to that? I mean, it is a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. The aviation part, I guess I'm guilty of, because I've been a pilot since 1959. I started in high school. I had an uncle who was a Navy pilot who introduced me to the world of aviation, first as an 8th grader, and then encouraged my parents to let me take lessons as a high school student. So everybody in the family got a dose of aviation, and Phillip Jr., Alan, Craig. Only the youngest is not in the world of aviation.
So graduated from the academy in 2000.
Yes.
And got his wings. I assume flying fixed wing aircraft.
He is a naval flight officer, so he went to the pilot indoctrination program at Pensacola, and then went on to the naval flight officer program. Continued there at Pensacola, and he got his NFO wings there at the actually at the museum there underneath the Blue Angel exhibit there at Pensacola. And that was in 2002.
Deployments?
Yes, a couple of deployments. One I will ask you to get a little more information from Craig, because uniquely his squadron and Craig's squadron were on the same carrier on deployment in 2005, 2006, the USF Roosevelt. And that was deployment to the Middle East. The second deployment was aboard the USS Eisenhower. And again, that was it was a Mediterranean boat, so it was to the Middle East.
You have obviously a couple of sons who served in the military, and I don't know if any of your other children have, but real proud of Alan for what he did.
Absolutely. I would say that we're a very military-oriented family. My sons are 6th generation military. It goes way back. And also in the earlier years of our practice here in Tullahoma, my wife was one of the first physicians in the area to take military insurance. She realized that not all the families could easily go to Huntsville, to Redstone, or go up to Clarksville, and they had only a small clinic at our base here. So she's always had the soft spot in her heart. And also her dad was a captain in the United States Army in World War II, so in South Pacific. So you know, we are real military all the way.
And just in terms of Alan, just you've always been proud of what
Absolutely, absolutely. Supported him 500%.
You know, my parents, every time there's a helicopter accident, they have just fear that my brother might somehow be involved, and I'm sure that was anytime you'd hear about something, it would send you into a
We had kind of a little bit of a family agreement. We didn't talk about the outcomes of accidents too much, because I'd been a pilot since '59, and you lose friends from time to time, even in the civilian world, of course. But anytime there was a military accident that got close to Alan's squadron or Craig's squadron, my boys would check in with me, and they would say, Pop, oh, it wasn't us. It wasn't our squadron, or it wasn't me. And that was the alert that happened on Monday, is my wife saw the accident report on a Fox blurb on her iPhone, and I had not gotten a call. And I started calling him, and I started calling his wife, and couldn't get anybody. The Navy response team from Chattanooga was actually looking for me as the second next of kin, and they were missing the address, but they did end up here later that evening.
He was one of 3 on board this aircraft.
That's correct. He was the instructor. He was the senior member of the crew.
That was my question. I figured since he was lieutenant commander, he must have been in.
He is an
part of that
instructor. He
training.
was assigned as an instructor. He had just finished his master's degree at Navy War College in Rhode Island. He had a year gap there. They offered him a chance to go there, so he did. He got his degree, and then was able to get orders to go back to Whitby, which is where almost all the Prowlers are based.
He planned to spend a career in the Navy? Or?
He was coming up on 13 years. He was going for 20.
And tell me about his family. Did he have a wife?
He did. His wife, Alan and his wife, lived in Mount Vernon, Washington, near the Naval Air Station at Whitby. And Alan has 2 children, a 13-year-old daughter and a 10-month-old daughter.
And is his wife from around here as well?
No, his wife is from Bucks County, Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, Warminster, Pennsylvania.
Right. You know, obviously today I see you have your kids with you, and kind of what's been your, you know, how are you handling all of this? Is it important to have family
It's the
here?
family that, it's the glue that kind of holds you together. It would not be easy to be alone in this, quite frankly. And luckily my wife and I were together, and our oldest daughter, who is a nurse practitioner and is my wife's nurse practitioner, lives in Nashville but drives down here. Jessie was in Mom's office Monday afternoon, and when she knew there was a problem, she didn't go home to Nashville, and she was here when the Navy commander from Chattanooga arrived. So it was really very valuable to have family. It's been, and Phillip Jr. drove in yesterday. Craig flies a medevac helicopter for air evac here in this area in Coffee County after 10 years of flying for the Navy, and so Craig was close by.
You it's difficult, I know, to do an interview like this, and I know you did one last night, but felt it was important, I'm sure, to remember your son in this way.
I think it is. I think the public needs to understand the reality of what military families go through. The people that write the orders make the decisions. They have to follow the orders. They have to carry out their mission. That's their job. And they need to understand that, particularly in the case of whether it's a National Guard unit deploying or a Naval Aviation Squadron, there are wives and children and mothers and fathers and grandparents and uncles and aunts that are behind. And these folks are over there, and I can tell you from having spent a couple of days on a carrier at sea as a guest, the activity is 24/7. The ship never sleeps. So they're working hard while the families back home are sleeping and working and doing their regular day-by-day lives. But they're always short a person in that household when they've got a person deployed.
Yeah. And it's too much lately. The war in Afghanistan has really fallen off the headlines of the newspaper. But you know, we're still a country at war, and we still have men and women putting themselves in harm's way.
That's right. And our youngest son spent 13 months in Afghanistan. And we valued every phone call or text message we would get, quite frankly.